So it's well covered that England haven't won a major trophy since 1966, but also in that time period, particularly over the late 90s, early noughties, England were labelled as having a golden generation of football players. This of course included players such as Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard, Gary Neville, David Beckham, Paul Scholes, Wayne Rooney. The list can go on and on and on. Famously though, they didn't win anything. They still didn't win anything. England are still without a major trophy in 60 years, and this topic comes up time and time again. Players from that era are interviewed and are asked about their experiences playing for England and why they didn't win anything really when you see how stacked England were at that time. Now this past week, Rio Ferdinand, who I didn't know, hosts a podcast by the looks of it. I think it's in partnership with TalkSport. You can catch it on YouTube. I will leave a link in the video description below. But Rio Ferdinand was interviewing his former teammate Steven Gerrard and the topic of England came up, and I thought, what a great video, because Steven Gerrard said some really interesting things in this video, but also things that to probably fans like us, we're not really surprised, are we? Let's take a look. So thanks for joining today. My name's Gary, and this video, well, let's get straight into it. I'll put it on screen here, and what I might do is pause it as we go along and discuss some of the key things that Steven Gerrard raises as part of this interview.
Why hasn't there been someone over a 15-year period that's made us work together?
Yeah, well, I was going to come to that, but you took us there again. It's true.
Why? You know how, and that's on, you know, that's on me as well.
I think the key thing here is it's definitely on him. It's definitely on him. It's definitely on the players. A manager can put the people on the pitch, and arguably, yes, the managers didn't operate them effectively. I'm looking at, you know, Glenn Hoddle and Sven-Göran Eriksson in particular. It's down to the players, isn't it? When you're on the pitch, it is down to the players, and it does come on to some of the reasons actually as to why, even though they were playing together and in the peak of their careers, they still were unable to perform well together in an England shirt.
Because at times underperformed and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure Frank will hold his hand up, Scholes. They're all honest lads. But
do you not think the system sometimes facilitates players?
A two doesn't work with them three. A two doesn't work. So,
or does one of you have to?
I mean, the debate about whether all three could play together or all two could play together. I remember growing up, Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, it was a big debate. They can't play together. I mean, famously, Paul Scholes was played out on the left. And I sort of get the point here. I do sort of get their point. But at the same time, they sort of contradicts themselves as the interview goes on.
Sit out.
Yeah, one of us, yeah. If you play in the system that a lot of the coaches played, I think someone had to have the courage to say, well, Steven, it's not you today, or Frank, or Scholesy. Putting Scholesy on the left and me on the right or me on the left, or asking one of us to be holding just a sitter takes a lot away from any of us. But I think we could have played. I think we could have played together. I think we could have.
So after all that, Steven Gerrard does admit actually we could have played together. You know, it's probably there's more to it than this, and this is where he goes on to that finer detail really.
Tactically being coached over a period of time for it to work, because I believe we had the football IQ and intelligence to adapt and make it work together. But there's a bigger problem with England, in my opinion. I think.
And this is the crux here, what he's really getting at.
We were all egotistical losers.
Yeah.
Because I watch the telly now and I see Carragher sitting next to Paul.
Now, saying that, right, there's not a fan alive now who knows this generation, who grew up watching this generation, that didn't know that already. I mean, the way Steven Gerrard presents this across as if that's news to him, or he's almost coming into this realisation of that, the fact that they were, you know, just a bunch of egos, really, that essentially stopped England from being successful. And every fan in the country knows that. Every fan in the country knew that these players were prima donnas. You could argue this against some players now, but in particular, there's a lot of players from this generation who were known to be really awkward, really difficult, wouldn't mix together from clubs, and it's their problem. It is their problem in my eyes. The fact that Gerrard is looking back on this now, reflecting in the way he is, great that he's recognised that, but I don't think this comes as a surprise to anybody else other than the players. And it still seems like they're still late to the party. This is something that should have been said 10 years ago, not Gerrard in an interview with Rio Ferdinand 20 odd years later. So I don't know. I mean, it's great he's admitting it, but at the same time, it's not really the news I think Gerrard thinks it is.
Goals on this fan debate, and they look like they've been best mates for 20 years. And I see Carr's relationship with Gary Neville, they look like they've been mates for 20 years. I'm probably more close and friendly with you now than I ever was when I played with you for 15 years. So why didn't we connect when we were 20, 21, 22, 23? Was it ego? Was it rivalry? Was it... Why are we all mature enough now and at stages in our life where we're closer and more connected now? Why couldn't we connect as England teammates back then? And I think it was down to the culture within England that we were all never connected, all in our rooms too much. We wasn't friendly or connected. We wasn't a team. No. We never at any stage become a real good, strong...
We wasn't a team. Now, obviously some of that does come down to the manager, and he does go on to praise Gareth Southgate in this interview later on, which is great, which is absolutely great. But the problem is here is that, yes, some of that rests with the coaching staff, some of that rests with the manager, but ultimately a lot of that rests with the players. And I think he's admitted that the England players, including himself, were turning up to England camps with the wrong attitude. It's as simple as that. They weren't interested. They weren't interested in forming those friendships and bonds with each other. They just had egos that got in the way.
Team.
Did you enjoy that?
Hated it.
I didn't enjoy it.
Hated the rooms. In my early days, I'd have days where I was down. Like low down, like I'm in this room for 7 hours. What am I going to do? There was no social media, didn't have a DVD player, and it was channel 1 to 5 or whatever it was. It was I used to get low and down. I used to love the games. I used to love playing for England. Really proud. I used to enjoy the training sessions, but it was 90 minutes a day. Yeah. And then I was just on my own in London or in
the middle of nowhere,
Romania or wherever, and I was just thinking, I'm in this room from now till I have half an hour dinner till the next day. It was like I didn't feel part of a team. I didn't feel connected with my teammates with England. I didn't feel that. With Liverpool, they were the best days of my life.
I mean, Crimea River, I sort of get his point, he was bored, but essentially, again, it's the fact that his ego wasn't being rubbed. This is the way I take it, and he emphasises this isn't me going in hard on Steven Gerrard here. This is me going in hard on this golden generation. The fact that, yes, there was in a hotel room, great, fine, but, you find your own entertainment, don't you? You read a book, I don't know, you do something. It would be no different now, but I think the most revealing thing is that him and Rio Ferdinand openly admitted it, that they hated going away with England, and that is sort of the impression you got from this generation every time they got together, and it did come out in flashes in the press and the way they responded to fans. You can tell that England became too much of a chore for them, really, and probably another emphasis of why England as a national team failed with such a strong collective of players.
When I used to go abroad with Liverpool, or I used to go to an away game with Liverpool, I felt part of a team. I felt like the staff looked over me, like I felt special. I felt like I couldn't wait to get there. With England, I just wanted the games.
So he starts off this interview by saying, we were egotistical, that's the reason why we didn't succeed. And then he then goes on to then admit that he enjoyed the Liverpool trips more because he was made to feel special and essentially was looked after and pampered. So there is some sort of contradiction here in what he's saying. I get what he's saying, but at the same time, you're just emphasising the problem, Stephen, in terms of that's what you needed to be able to feel comfortable. And the reality is a lot of nations and a lot of players across the world didn't have that playing for their nation and put in better shifts, arguably. I mean, Steven Gerrard was a good servant to his country, but ultimately we all agree that this squad of players should have won a trophy. They should have won it. And it's not taken away from the fact that there were other strong teams around at the time, but you've just got to look at your own nation, haven't you, and think that squad of players should have won a major trophy. And he's just emphasising the egos, the pampering that this squad of players almost relied upon.
The training sessions and then to be away.
I think our problems was a number of problems, but the main ones was Liverpool, Man United and Chelsea.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I felt like the last 1 or 2 days of the 10 days
that's been well documented and something that everyone's been aware of for a long time, that when they met up in camps there were these club divides. A lot of that is on the manager, I will admit, because we've seen the difference that Gareth Southgate has made, and it happened almost overnight, hence why Gareth Southgate has completely changed the landscape of players playing for their country in England. He is revolutionary in that aspect, and managers before him could not do that. But I go back to, again, some of that is on the players. At the end of the day, yeah, they were young lads, but they were still adults and still men at the time, and they just couldn't put aside those petty rivalries, could they, for the sake of their nation, which I think is unforgivable, really.
You could feel a connection coming, but then the
Disperse,
games would be done.
That's true.
The games would be done. There was a little bit more of a connection during the tournament because you'd be living together a little bit more. But I think Gareth Southgate is underrated for how he connected the England team. Because for me, the talent was there. The talent was there, the players were there. The level of games we were all playing at was there to go and do better than what we did. I think we had a little bit of bad luck with the penalties or whatever. We have to take responsibility, but I've got a big frustration when I look back at England that we never done better. And I think it's a combination of different things. But one of the big things for me was we wasn't a team.
No.
We were a group of individuals with talent, and it never works like that.
I felt there was an underlying like bitterness between us.
Yeah, bitterness, a little bit of hate, a little bit of hatred, a little bit of like, you know, we want to do yous. But
So, I mean, he's admitted there he's got frustrations with England. He praises Gareth Southgate, and rightly. But he says it's a combination of things. He does speak a bit of bad luck. But yeah, I mean, the reality is this is a team, a great team that only got to quarterfinals in major tournaments, which is just not good enough.
When you think about it now, looking back at the age I'm at, and having gone through a bit of coaching, it's quite
Immature, isn't it?
It's a bit immature, but also should there have been more emphasis on the staff to go towards, listen, you need to forget that now. We need to connect from day one, more activities, more out of your rooms, more time together. Because I think if we'd have been more of a team, more together, and liked each other more, I think it would have come out in the performances more.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I mean, he sort of almost admits blame and fault, or his part he played in that, in terms of, yeah, we should have been more together as a team. Our egos got in the way. We resented each other a little bit when we were playing for England. But then he goes back to saying, you know, the staff should have done more. And I sort of agree with him. But ultimately, it is on the players. They're away together. We all know anyone who's managed people or worked with groups of people, it's very difficult to get people to like each other if they come in with the wrong attitude in the first place. And I think that was the battle all England managers had. It was like bringing a group of teenagers away on a school trip who hated each other or disliked each other. And ultimately, you know, it is on them. It is on their players. I think it's a fascinating interview. I think it's really, really fascinating. I think it's fascinating the fact that the way Ferdinand and Gerrard are reflecting on this and almost coming to the realisation themselves that these were the main issues. I think for us fans, these are nothing new. These are ideas that we believe have been the case for a long, long time. And it's sort of where you sit with it. Do you agree with what Gerrard's saying? Don't you agree? How much blame do you put on the players? How much blame do you put on the managers and the coaching staff? To be honest with you, I put like 90-80% blame on the players personally and 20 or 10% on the manager. Yes, the manager's job is to get those players together. But the players have to have that willingness and eagerness and be able to leave their crap at the door when they come in, the same way we all have to do in our normal day-to-day jobs. And I think the reality is that these were a bunch of pampered footballers who cost their nation, potentially, I'm not saying we'd have gone on and won a tournament, but potentially cost their nation the best opportunity we have had in those 60-odd years to win a major trophy. And I think that is unforgivable from this generation of players. And I think they're struggling now to come to terms with that, because Steven Gerrard is not the first person to come out from that golden generation and regret the performances and the outcome of their England career. So, yeah, it's really interesting stuff. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you've made it this far in the video, hit the subscribe button because it really helps me out a lot. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all on my next video.